What's up, Journee Beelievers? Welcome back to another episode of Her Journey Within Podcast. I am your host, Symone Ranaye, and today is all about you making a change within your situation. First things first, I want to shout out to all of our new subscribers. I want to shout out to all of our new Journee Beelievers. I know I called you guys Journey Seekers, but I feel like I need the trilogy to just continue. So we have our Journee Bees, we have our Journee Beauty Babes, and now we have our Journee Beelievers. You get what I'm saying? You have to believe that what you are going through is only temporary. You have to believe that you are important and that everything that comes or tries to come against you is never going to succeed if you truly believe. So you guys, I'm going to call you guys my Journee Beelievers, and that's just what that is. Thank you so much for all of the love and support that you have shown with our first episode, which was titled Acknowledge Yourself Today. I do hope and pray that you did take heed to everything that podcast message was speaking on, and I really hope that you enjoyed yourself and felt like you can kind of get the ball rolling, because I know a lot of times we can easily get discouraged within our healing journey because we think that no one is going to listen to us. We feel like when we do address the elephant in the room, whichever it may be, that we're not going to be received with open arms, and that's okay. But we can't allow that to discourage us. We still have to press forward because, as I stated last week, the healing journey is not for the other person, it's for you. We're just going to dive deep. As I always say, I'm a deep girl. I think that's just the Pisces in me. Shout out to my water signs. I just love to get to the root of a lot of things. I need to understand why people are the way they are. I need to understand why I am the way that I am. And it just comes from a lot of different experiences, whether it's good and bad, choices that I've made, choices that I've avoided, decisions that I was forced into, decisions that I took my time with. There's a root and there's a reason for everything. That there's a root of the reason, if that makes sense. There's a root to the reason why we are who we are. And that is what this podcast is typically all about. Today we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the acknowledging process. Don't think that because I said acknowledge yourself today that's all you have to do. No. There's more to it, sis. There's more to it, bro. Like, you have to continue this process before we can get into the next step. So now that you have acknowledged yourself, I'm curious as to figuring out in what way did you acknowledge yourself. Me personally, I am giving you guys like more of a vulnerable side because I'm going through my healing journey as well. In a way that I acknowledge myself was just addressing my fear. I am very fearful of a lot of things. And the reason I am fearful of a lot of things is because I've allowed my fear to overtake my faith. I've allowed my fear to speak for me instead of allowing my faith to speak through me. So I am taking control over the things that I am fearful of. I'm calling those things out. I'm fearful of losing. I'm fearful of failing. I'm fearful of just being nothing. Like, everything that I worked hard for, I'm afraid that it is never going to matter, right? And to some people you can say like, oh, you shouldn't think that way, but this is life. A lot of times we are afraid of certain things because we're so used to failing, we're so used to losing, that we believe that is our normal path, right? And that's where faith comes in, because even if you do lose those things, you still have God. Whatever it was that you needed to acknowledge about yourself, whether positive or negative, whatever the situation or experience may be, you have to just press through. So how did you acknowledge yourself last week? How did I acknowledge myself? I spoke out loud. I just decided that I was no longer going to be bound by fear. And immediately, as soon as I spoke that out, I felt like the things that I was most fearful of are now starting to come face to face. I am really big on not being like super public with a lot of things that stress me out. I'm not really public with I don't vent really unless I truly don't have what I feel like somebody to understand. I feel very misunderstood in a lot of aspects. I feel like the way that I think is different, and I feel like nothing is surface when it comes to me. It's always something deeper than what it is. I've always been like that because I get it, right? It's easy for me to understand other people, but when it comes to me being understood, I feel like that is just the hardest thing for some folks. If you're like that, and it's kind of hard to explain in a sense, but if you understand what I'm saying and you're similar to that, then you get it. Like you get that it's easy for you to help other people with their problem, but when it's time for you to reach out for help, it's like no one's there, right? That's where I'm at. And so when I am public and a lot of my emotions and my feelings and different things of that nature, immediately I feel like a discomfort of expressing myself because I've always been the type to just have it all together. I've always been the type to save face. I've always been the type to like have my next move planned out. And so when I don't have my next move planned out, I get afraid that I'm gonna fail, that I actually miss out on enjoying what is in my face. Is anybody else like that? You are so afraid of losing out on something that's not even here yet that you miss out on what is sitting right in front of you, right? And of course, I like to say I typically probably do block my own blessings by not just enjoying the moment or not fully basking in the moment. As one of my good friends said, basking in the moment of just enjoying what God has blessed me with, you know? I can definitely admit that I have gotten caught up in, I wouldn't say like the worldly things because I don't really care too much for status. I'm very laid back. I'm very chill. I just be I'm my own vibe, right? But I do get caught up in, I think big. I've never been the type to think small. So everything that I do has to be big because I'm looking for something that is permanent. And I feel like my life has been just temporary. Everything in my life is so temporary. As far as like, you know, cars and homes and, you know, pets. I don't know. Everything is just so temporary to the point where I'm tired of temporary and I need permanent. So I always have to think ahead and I always have to try to figure out my next move. And in this season, I don't have a next move. I don't know. I feel like I'm running out of options. But it's hard to communicate that when people don't think the way that you think and they don't view things the way that you view things, and or when they haven't really been faced with the same type of things. Like I'm in survival mode. That's what I like to call it. I'm in survival mode. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking like I'm in survival mode too, right? But fear has overpowered my faith, and that is a problem, and that is something that I need to address in my healing. So that's just me giving a little bit of where I'm at right now. So we're doing this together. You're not alone. I'm not just sitting in front of my camera just telling you what you should do, because everything that I am saying to you, I'm truly also speaking to myself, right? So in what healthy ways, let me be very clear, because we can do a lot of things in a lot of different ways, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's healthy, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's helping us. So in what ways can we honestly and earnestly like address what we're going through that brings comfort and knowing that we're moving in the right direction, right? So I found an article and it said, healing is hard and journaling can help. Those of you that know, I love journaling. I am a journalist. I have my bachelor's degree in journalism. I love writing. I aspire to be a magazine journalist. I love like editorial work. I love features. I love interviews. I love talking to people. I love having creative control over looks. That's why if you ever follow me on Instagram, you see like I be drawn all over my face. I love color. I just love being bright, bold, beautiful. I feel like that's how my spirit is, and I just love journaling. I believe writing has always been the voice that, how do I say this? Writing has always been the voice, my voice. And I feel like people have always been able to truly hear me through my writing. versus me physically speaking in front of them. I feel like that's why I feel like I'm misunderstood in a certain aspect, because when I express myself, it's disregarded. But when I write about it, I have everybody's attention. Yeah. So the article says healing is a personal journey for each of us. The very fact that we are having to heal from something means we've been injured. Emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, we can experience pain in all of these aspects of who we are as humans. And therefore, we can be on very different paths to healing depending on our situation. So, wherever you're at and whatever you've experienced, your feelings are valid. It's crazy that I read that, because I am really big on saying that our feelings are valid. And my husband and I had like a debate, because I said that when we have kids, I'm going to teach them that their feelings are valid. And even if nobody is standing with them and everybody is disagreeing with them and everybody is trying to persuade them to change their mind, they're going to always stand 10 toes down on what they feel. Period. And the reason I believe so heavy in that is because growing up as an only child and not having anybody to co-sign for you or taking the fall for you or having somebody like right there as your ally, you have to do a lot of things by yourself. You have to learn how to defend yourself verbally and sometimes physically, because a lot of people be trying you know what I'm saying? You have to learn how to do things, how to defend yourself, and have like a strength about you. You have to be like able to hold yourself no matter what. And he didn't grow up like that. He has siblings that was there to be in some shape, way, or form an ally in most instances, or have his back in most instances. And I only say most instances because as siblings you feud, sometimes y'all get on each other's nerves, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes, like, as you get older, everybody goes their separate ways. But in the household, growing up as a kid, he has somebody there regardless, or he was that for somebody. So he doesn't know like what it's like being the only child. So when I have kids, I definitely like that's something that's definitely going to be in the rule book of parenthood. Always defend yourself, always stand 10 toes down on how you feel. Don't let nobody try to persuade you. If you feel strongly about something and that's how you feel, your feelings are valid, period. Your hurt is real, and you deserve to be loved and cared for by those around you, right? I agree with that also. The article also states one of the best tools we have to help us in our healing is journaling. This is what I would consider the most healthiest and effective way to kind of keep record or show your progress or your growth within your healing journey, because I always go back to my previous entries. It could be a diary, whatever you have. It could be on your phone. You can write letters to yourself. We're going to dive deep, but whatever your form of journaling is, I would always recommend that you go back and see how far you've come, right? You may think that you haven't come far, but I guarantee you, if you go back and read all that you have written in your diary, in your journal, and the letters to yourself, you are going to see growth. Unless you are just, and I say unless you are BSing the entire experience of journaling. If you were giving it your all, then you're definitely going to see the progress, right? So for me, I love journaling, and this type of journaling for your healing journey is called journal therapy. So it says writing helps us process our experiences by putting our thoughts on paper. Plus, we can commit to journaling through our healing. And with the help of journaling, prompts for healing, we get the chance to look back and see our progression over time, right? So I'm already like ahead of it. There are rewards through journaling, but at the same time, now you have to physically you're not really speaking out your traumas or your pain, I should say, but your pain is real. Like your pain, your fear, your guilt, whatever the situation may be, it hinders you from moving forward. So you have to write it out in order for it to be like a way of you releasing. So let's say, for instance, you're holding on to something that happened when you were a child, and the person that contributed to that pain is no longer living, right? So now you can't even have a face-to-face conversation with them about whatever it is that they have contributed to as a child. How do you get it out, right? If they're not physically here to hear you or to even have like a response, whether you feel it's warranted or not, you still have to figure out a healthy way of getting it out. And I would recommend journaling for sure. So let's see. Your pain is going to show up in your pages. The healing is going to show up on your pages on your notebook. And it's literally going to be like what we consider like daily deposits. So you have to come up with a schedule. I would recommend daily, like when you first wake up or before you go to sleep. When your day is, I would even do both. Let's see. When you wake up in the morning, how you want your day to be. And when you go to sleep, how your day was actually. Do the two line up, right? I think that's very important. And if you don't have a journal, I have some great journals here. I have one for like, it's called You're Weird, and it's a creative journal for misfits, oddballs, and anyone else who's uniquely awesome. I'm a straight goofball. I'm a weirdo. I definitely feel like this allows me to find joy in my healing. It has amazing prompts where you can be, I'm over here like looking at pictures. It literally has you talk about what were you taught about individuality as you were growing up? If I were a drink, what would I be? You know, I like to draw. It has literally a lot of things that just allows you to just truly and authentically be yourself. And I like to write in this last because once I feel so much like, I don't want to say hurt and pain, but once I like can go back and reread my experience, I feel discomfort, and this brings me comfort. So I would recommend getting this. I got it from Five Below. You can find any journal from Amazon, Five Below, Walmart. You can even create your own journal if you want to. You can even just get a piece of paper and put it in a binder. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I love this journal, okay? Another journal that allows me to really open up about my healing journey is the mindful journaling. It is it's called Rewrite the Script of Your Life. This is an amazing journal that is, it helps me get to the root, right? So it has amazing prompts. And as y'all can see, I've been writing in this for a minute. So I can read a prompt that says, spend one day when you challenge every assumption you make, right? So it forces you to do the work. So it says, whenever you feel an assumption coming into your mind, it could be something simple such as, I don't like that, or I bet he or she is difficult. Stop and ask yourself, why are you thinking that way? Where does that attitude stem from? What could you do to change it? After just one day, you would discover how many assumptions you make all day without even realizing it. How would it benefit you to change some of them? Write down the assumptions you make most often and place some suggestions on how to change your attitude against each one. I put, the biggest assumption I make is that I don't really enjoy trying new things, such as dangerous shit. But then again, who wants to do anything dangerous? I also make assumptions about others. Energy is literally everything to me, and if your energy is off, I won't talk to you. I thought this was a necessary attitude to have. Be guarded and ready for anything. Maybe I can focus on being a tad bit more friendly, I guess. It's going to be kind of difficult, but I guess I can make it work, right? So I am glad I pulled that one, because a lot of times we don't realize we judge people. And I think that we judge other people because we don't want people to look at us a certain type of way. So before we can give anybody the opportunity to judge us, it's easier for us to just shoot and attack, right? I'm not the most friendliest person. Not saying that I'm rude or I'm mean or anything of that nature, but I just feel like I'm very guarded and I have to be ready for anything. because when I was super friendly with people, I got burned. Because when I let my guard down with other people, I got burned. Because I was so open to just walking up to people and, just being my most authentic self, I wasn't received. So I was like, you know what? Bump that. I'm going to be sheltered. I'm going to be guarded, and don't talk to me. And if I feel like your energy is off, then it's off, and that's not a good mindset to have. However, sometimes my intuition do be telling me that some people energy be off, and I could definitely read the room, and I definitely go with the vibes, and and sometimes I give up that energy. Like, I'm not really approachable. People think I am, but don't just be coming up to me. Like, don't do that. But this journal definitely, as you can see, gets to the root of the problem, or have you do little prompts like touch a part of your body to remind you to be mindful. So a part of my body was like my head, and to remind me to be mindful is to have peace and reassurance, right? My love language is affirmations. I need you to reassure me of a lot of things. I need you to remind me of a lot of things. I need you to tell me you're proud of me and tell me that I am worthy of something, because sometimes I forget, right? That's just me. Another really good journal that I'm currently working on is called my prayer journal. And it's a 52-week guided journal to inspire a deeper connection with God. So a 52-week journal, which means you write every week for the entire year. There's 52 weeks in a year, for those of you that did not know that. So each week you are going to write your prayer request. I do everything color coordinated because each week is going to be a different color. You write the date, a prayer request, and then for the previous week, how did God answer your prayer? And you will be amazed by how much God answers your prayers without you even realizing, because a lot of times we expect God to do these big, immaculate blessings, right? And don't get me wrong, he will, right? But sometimes we expect that to be the only time that we hear from God. But a lot of the times he gives us little blessings, and they're not little in a form of size, but they're like just the things that we overlook, like being alive. We overlook being alive. I look at that as a little blessing, versus we expect God to just drop millions in our accounts. I'm not saying that he wouldn't, because he knows I could sure use them, right? But peace of mind. Sometimes we're going through something so chaotic and we don't even realize it, because God gave us peace of mind. We overlook the little things that God does because we're expecting him to do just these big things. And this is why I love this prayer journal so much. This journal is actually really simple because it's not really so much prompts, but for the weeks, it'll say, I am thankful for. So you have to write what it is that you're thankful for. Then you have to write, I am worried about. So the things that you're worried about, you're casting your concerns onto him. And then I am praying for. So it's crazy that I pulled up this week, because something that I was thankful for was that I have come a long way from being this timid little girl to now being this strong woman who isn't afraid of speaking her mind. So growing up, I allowed the women in my family to take my voice. I allowed them to bully me. I allowed them to make me feel like my words didn't matter. I allowed them to make me feel like speaking up was wrong, because I think for them, when I did speak up, I was a straight shooter, and I didn't really care if it hurt your feelings. You needed to hear it, how I needed to deliver it, and they didn't like that. And imagine being a kid being told, like, you need to stay in a child's place until it was time to defend them, right, and their wrongdoing. I need to stay in a child's place, but as soon as you get caught up in something, you need me to be an ally, right? You need me to be loyal to you. But when it's time for me to have a conversation with you about how I feel, because you had a part to play in that, you don't want to hear it. So I grew up believing that I had to be quiet. So I would allow certain things to happen to me and I wouldn't speak up. I would just say, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And that's not healthy, right? So now I believe that I'm a strong woman because I do have the power to speak things off of me and to speak things over my life. But I've allowed my fear to overpower my faith. I said, had it not been for my mindset, I would be weak. My choices, I would be dependent. My attitude, I would be gullible. All in all, I really have myself. I would defend myself because I know I'm worth the fight, and I am. And then I thank myself. I say, so thank you, Symone, for never giving up on yourself. Because I truly believe I am all that I have. The things that I'm worried about, missing my moment. I have been so focused on the things I don't have and not enjoying what I do have. So remember in the beginning, I said I have this habit of thinking about the future, right? Preparing for the worst. And I'm missing on what I currently have. It's crazy that I am. Thank you, God. I often question my motivation for being a mother. Like, how bad do you really want it? What changes have you made as of lately? So why are you expecting God to bless you if you aren't making an effort, right? Reading that out loud is hard. Reading that out loud was really hard. It's really hard because I don't. Oh, wow, that's really hard. It's really hard. It's things that I know that I need to do, and I just haven't. And so I feel like I've prayed for certain things, like being a mom, and I've prayed for certain things to not happen to me, but I haven't made any changes. Like I've allowed my fear to keep me from making changes of a lot of things. So I'm expecting God to do something, but I haven't even showed God that I really want it. Reading that out loud was hard. That was like a reality check for me. I am praying for healing. My parents trigger me. And until I learn how to deal with my fears, wow. I won't be able to truly accept the idea of motherhood. No matter how much I pray and ask God to bless me, I can't see it happening until I make a change. Lord, guide me. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Wow, okay. Wow. Oh, okay. That was, I haven't, in this journal, I haven't gone back to reread a lot of things. I'll read like my prayer requests and like I'll answer like how did God answer my prayer and I'll see the progress in that. But for some reason, that's crazy how I just went to that week. But reading this definitely put a lot of things in perspective for me. I got all of these journals from Five Below. So I spent $15 on these journals. And it's amazing. And I'm not even filled, like I'm not finished. And I go in order. I start with the deepest, which clearly is the most reality check that I need. Then I go into something that allows me to get to the root of what I'm feeling. And then when I feel uncomfortable, because you're going to feel uncomfortable because you have to finally say it out loud, I go to a comfort zone of knowing like I can be funny and goofy and I can, like, I don't have to always sit in my discomfort. A lot of times we think we have to be uncomfortable in discomfort and sit in our discomfort forever. But no, you can have a good time and still get your point across, you know? I would encourage you who is watching this to journal. Write down what you feel. You can even look online. Let's say you don't have a journal and really dig deep, right? You can write letters to yourself. And don't think of it as like you have to do this, right? But kind of get out of the mindset that you have to do this alone, because you're not alone. I'm doing this. I'm pretty sure you have family and friends that need healing, and they may even be watching you. And when they see you doing this, it could inspire them to do it. I would also say that you could even get like a little diary and look online of like some prompts, some questions to ask yourself that are like day-to-day prompts. So it could be, how do you feel about yourself today or at this very moment? Or write a letter of encouragement to yourself on today. I definitely am really big on affirmations. That's my love language. So I have a group of sisters that I'm in on Facebook, and every day of every month we post affirmations to one another, and we have to affirm it, and we have to believe it, and we have to take in those words for what they are. You know, I am powerful, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am not afraid, but I am strong, and I am courageous, and I am brave, you know, different things of those nature. What do you wish you would remember on your bad days? So when you're going through that's a good one. When you're going through your tough times, what is something that you can remember that's going to help you get through that? And whatever you can remember, you have to believe it, right? Last but not least, you can say, what do you wish you would go back and tell yourself to prepare you for what you've been through? That's a really good. What do you wish you can go back and tell yourself to prepare you for what you've been through? That's a damn good question. That's a damn good prompt for journaling, for healing. And for some, that may be a simple question, but I think everything has a root, and everything has to be kind of on like a deeper level. So that question is definitely going to take me some time, for sure. So that's it. I want you to take time today to acknowledge yourself. And when you acknowledge yourself, because we're never going to stop acknowledging ourselves. So when you acknowledge yourself, I want you to grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, grab a journal, whatever your journaling may be. And I want for you to look online, get some prompts or answer the prompts that's in the journal. And I want you to be honest with yourself, and I want you to be open with yourself, and I want you to let it all out in the most healthiest way possible. We don't need you damaging anything. Don't damage anybody's property. Don't damage your own property. Don't go off on anybody. You don't have to post your business or do anything extra of those nature, in that nature. But I want you to like be transparent with yourself, open with yourself, and honest with yourself. Hot. Honest, open, and transparent. Period. I love you guys. Thank you for watching another episode of Her Journey Within. I'm your girl, Symone Ranaye. Until next time, peace.